My mother is hilarious. She's funny, she's smart, she's thoughtful and attentive. She spent so many hours with us as children, teaching us how to think, talking with us, teaching us how to wrestle with ideas, how to entertain ideas that we didn't even believe, but to still entertain them and work through them. As I grew up, people in the church used to tell me, "Your mother is so shy." And I'd go, "My mother? My mother is anything but shy. My mother is hilarious. My mother is wonderful, shy. You know, my mother thinks deeply about everything. What do you mean shy?" And it turned out that they were right. But I knew my mother differently than they did. I really knew my mother. I had spent years developing a very close and personal relationship with her. I knew her as a person. I knew her in her heart, as she thought in the secret places of her soul. And they knew this surfacey thing, this thing. And I think a lot of times we're like that with God. That God is a institution, not a person to be known. And doesn't that happen so often with our parents? Parents don't get the luxury of being on a pedestal and then to become normal human beings that we know as human beings. They don't get that benefit. They go from being on a pedestal to the garbage heap. Once we discover them as real people with weaknesses and struggles and all the messiness that goes on in the human heart, children have a tendency to just throw them away. And if they're lucky, they live long enough to rediscover their parents as people. And I think often that's the way it is with God. We relate to God as an institution. We relate to God as a necessity. God is the creator. We're going to be judged by him someday, so we're going to have to deal with him, but he's not known by us. We're concerned with what he will say to us when we stand before him, but we are not concerned that we get to know him and that we discover him as more than an institution. And I think we should. I often reference the conversation, and it's a very paraphrased, but because it takes place over several verses, where Elihu stands before Job and his friends, and he talks about the masses of the world and the suffering in the world, and it says they cry out to God in their pain so that he will relieve their suffering, but they do not cry out to know him. And then he says, why should he hear such prayers? So let us cry out, and it's a challenge. Go in your private prayers, in your private moments, you're driving around, pray the prayer, Lord, and you got to mean it, Lord, I want to know you. Reveal yourself to me. Show me who you are.